Imagine clocking in for work every day and realizing your job description includes lifting a boulder the size of your house, rubbing lotion on a man who thinks he's the literal son of the sun, and small detail here being sealed alive in a stone box when your boss dies. That, my friends, was the glamorous career path of a pharaoh's servant. History textbooks always show golden thrones, elegant hieroglyphs, and pyramids pointing proudly to the heavens. What they don't show: the guy behind the throne, sweating in a linen skirt, holding a giant fan, praying he doesn't sneeze while Pharaoh is talking. Because sneezing could get you killed. Or worse, promoted to afterlife companion, which, spoiler alert, means congratulations, you're trapped inside a pyramid for all eternity with no bathroom breaks. Let's set the scene. You wake up before dawn in a mud brick shack by the Nile. Your alarm clock? A neighbor screaming because a crocodile just tried to steal his laundry. You throw on your linen loincloth, which is basically history's version of cheap underwear, and jog to the palace because if you're late, Pharaoh's sandals don't polish themselves. At sunrise, Pharaoh struts into the hall like a supermodel on a runway. Everyone chants, "May you live forever, O mighty Pharaoh," and you, desperately hungover from too much date wine, have to clap enthusiastically like he just invented bread. Pharaoh sits on his golden throne, surrounded by perfume, smoke, and more eyeliner than a modern rock band. He flicks his finger and says, "Fan me, that's your job?" All day, fanning him. Your arm cramps? Too bad you stop fanning. Enjoy the company of scorpions in the dungeon. Then there are the special requests. Pharaoh believes he's a living god, which means his whims are sacred. Bring me honeyed figs. Done. Scrub my sandals with Nile water. Done. Kill that servant who sneezed too loud. Done, unless you were the one who sneezed, in which case goodbye. The real tragedy is that Pharaoh didn't just want luxury in life. He wanted it in death, too. And who got dragged into that? You! Because Pharaoh wasn't about to enter the afterlife alone. No, he needed his staff. Who else would butter his bread in eternity? Who else would hold his fan while his ghost sweated? So when construction started on the big pyramid project, servants quickly learned the cruel truth. They weren't just building a monument to Pharaoh. They were building their own tomb. Picture this: rows of servants pushing limestone blocks up ramps while the desert sun turns the sand into a frying pan. Your sweat evaporates before it even drips. You're pulling a rope so thick it could choke a hippopotamus, and the foreman is yelling, "Faster! Pharaoh wants his tomb to sparkle!" And you're thinking, why is this tomb bigger than my entire village? He's dead! He doesn't even need legroom! But Pharaoh doesn't care. He wants a pyramid so shiny that aliens 3,000 years later will stop by for a photo op. Meanwhile, your spine sounds like a bag of broken pottery. Every servant has a dream. Some want freedom. Some want love. You? You just want to sit in the shade and not collapse like a mummy. But every time you stop, a guard with a stick motivates you back into labor. And the irony? You'll never get to enjoy the pyramid you just built. Pharaoh will. His cat will. His collection of walking sticks will. You'll just die in it. Being a servant wasn't just hard work, it was drama central. Every day was an episode of Keeping Up with the Pharaoh. The queen wanted more jewels, the high priest wanted more sacrifices, and Pharaoh wanted more eyeliner. And you, the humble servant, had to juggle everyone's demands while avoiding blame. If the Nile didn't flood enough for farming, guess who got blamed? You. If the bread was stale, guess who was whipped? You. If Pharaoh's wig looked crooked in the morning light, guess who got buried neck-deep in sand? You. You lived in constant fear of being the scapegoat. Literally. Sometimes you were dressed up like a goat, slapped with everyone's sins, and sent into the desert to die. That was called ritual cleansing. Translation: we're blaming Steve the servant for the drought. And then came the worst day of your life. Pharaoh died. While the nation mourned and priests sang hymns, you weren't crying out of love. You were crying because you knew what came next. The pyramid wasn't just his final resting place. It was yours. The funeral procession dragged on for weeks. You marched behind Pharaoh's golden sarcophagus, carrying jars of wine, baskets of bread, and probably his favorite board game. People wailed dramatically, but all you thought was, how long before they shove me in there too? Finally, the day arrived. The pyramid doors yawned open, priests lit torches chanting in deep, spooky voices. They lowered Pharaoh's coffin inside, along with piles of treasure. Gold masks, chariots, jewels, even jars of pickled eels. Pharaoh was ready for eternity. Then someone turned to you. Go stand by the wall. Your stomach dropped. You knew what was coming. The masons started sliding the stone door shut. The last sliver of sunlight disappeared. Air grew heavy. Someone whispered, "This is your honor, to serve forever." And in that moment, you realized the cruel punchline of life as a Pharaoh servant. You didn't just work for him, you died for him. So let's recap without making a list, because history doesn't need bullet points. You worked in the sun until your skin looked like old leather. You massaged Pharaoh's feet, polished his sandals, oiled his bald head, and clapped for his every sneeze. You dreamed of freedom, but instead, your retirement plan was suffocating in a stone room while Pharaoh's ghost yelled, "Servant, fetch my afterlife wine." Sounds terrible, right? And yet, here we are today, still admiring the pyramids like they're the peak of human achievement. Nobody ever asks about the portals trapped inside them. So next time you complain about your boss emailing you at midnight, just remember it could be worse. Your boss could have ordered you to dine at his office so you can keep making him coffee in the afterlife. If you're enjoying this little roast of ancient Egypt's employee benefits package, hit that like button, subscribe for more hilarious dives into history, and comment below. Would you rather be a Pharaoh servant or just take your chances assembling IKEA furniture? Personally, I'd fight the IKEA Allen wrench before I step into a pyramid. Here's the historical kicker. Archaeologists have found tombs with more than just Pharaoh's mummy. They've uncovered the skeletons of servants, young, healthy, but sealed in alive. They weren't honored in death. They were smothered sacrifices, forgotten the second the stone doors closed. The pyramids stand tall today, monuments of glory and power. But if you look closer, there are also monuments of fear. Behind the golden carvings are stories of exhausted, nameless servants, sweating, groaning, and finally gasping their last breaths in total darkness. And the cruelest twist, those servants did get immortality. Not the glorious kind Pharaoh promised, not the afterlife with endless feasts, but immortality as anonymous bones in the background of history, eternal proof that being a Pharaoh's servant sucked harder than a sandstorm up your nose. So if anyone tells you, "I wish I lived in ancient Egypt, it looks so glamorous," just remember, unless you were Pharaoh, you weren't living in a palace. You were either hauling rocks, scrubbing sandals, or banging on a pyramid wall screaming, "I didn't sign up for the deluxe eternity package." And that, my friends, is why it truly, absolutely, comically, and tragically sucked to be a Pharaoh's servant.